what? If they're gonna pad out the runtime with this pointless ass fucking duel, then I'm gonna pad out my runtime with this, and with a bit of a. Okay, this episode can wait until I'm fucking good and ready to discuss it. So, 3 things to get out of the way right off the bat. No, nobody's gonna like my opinion on this episode. Nobody's going to like my reasons why my opinion is the way it is, and nobody's gonna like my preference point distribution. Both of these episodes got at the point for the sub because of Ted Lewis, and I will admit a bit of nostalgia. But it's also because this duel is pointless to the point of we just want to we don't need Yami Bakura for a couple of seasons, so let's just shove him to the sidelines. No joke. I'm actually got the Crunchyroll listing right up in front of me here, and based on Crunchyroll's listing for the different seasons, if we include, capsule monsters in here, I will be able to tell you exactly how many. So for guaranteed 87 episodes, because all of season 3 and all of season 4 are going to be dealt with that. And then we won't be having him show back up in any capacity until, depending on how you score it, either 27 episodes into into the final 52 episodes of the series, or if you want to actually exclude capsule monsters, which I don't blame you, who minus 13 off of that. So either 27 or 28 episodes in, or 14 or 15 episodes in. And if we remove the 13, that actually shrinks the amount of episodes down to 39. Yeah, we are going to be saying goodbye to Yami Bakura for a really fucking long time after this. And also that we can, in my opinion, facilitate one of the most overrated villains in all. In my opinion, the most overrated villains in all of fiction. Despite the irony of a particular thought I had while watching the Japanese version of this episode, involving a certain set of cards inconsistencies, and a point I actually disagree with some people on. Alright, so we start off with Joey having a nightmare, claiming that he's going to get Mai back. Too bad he's going to have to wait an entire filler arc for that. Which, I already shut off the thing, so... Well, actually, I only shut off my TV, so I could actually tell you exactly how many episodes that's gonna fucking take before he can even start thinking about that. Let's see. Hey. Oh, god damn it. I screwed up. Ah! No. I'm on my Switch, and I'm using my Retro Fighters controller for this, so apologies. But like I said, if they're gonna pad out their fucking runtime with this pointless duel, I'm gonna pad out the runtime with this pointless nonsense. And it's because fuck them. But yeah, so before he can even start thinking about that, let's see. It's gonna take 24 entire episodes before we can even start thinking about that. Barring a couple of mentions of Mai during the thing. That's pretty bad. And then, of course, she's not going to pop back up until, the end of the season, in which case she's going to And so, so 24 episodes in, then he's going to, and then he's going to attempt it, and then we're going to waste more time. Oh, and then we enter our arc where she's literally going to be, where she will literally join a fucking cult. Spoiler alert. I know. I keep harping on that, but trust me, when we get to season 4, everybody's gonna fucking hate me because, well, no, the dub is not going to suddenly shoot up in the rankings in the preference points. Oh fuck. I am going to be merciless on the Doma arc because honestly, there are several aspects of the Doma arc that I have never liked, and now being somewhat aware of the Japanese version and the changes that were made to it. Yeah, no, it's you turned solid shit into diarrhea shit, basically. Or you turn diarrhea shit solid, whichever you think is fucking whichever your preference is, right? Whichever one you think the dub started with. And I know that's a contentious statement, and I'm getting way too far off of the beaten path here. But that's also because I don't have much to say about this episode. Not really. I mean, yeah, I can talk about how cool it is that we get a villain versus villain duel, but the problem is that it's predicated on Bakura being a terrible fucking duelist when Marik is actually, in my blunt opinion, equally as terrible of a duelist, if not even worse. Which kind of pisses me off because I actually have seen him duel and duel well in later stuff, right? The lockdown deck, right? The big the undead unlock, or the undead lockdown, right? Right. Right. That whole thing that where he's facing, where we get introduced to the concept of level monsters and all that. I actually like that duel because that duel is actually kind of fun to watch and kind of see how that progresses. This duel was fucking boring. It was full of fucking misplays because with Yami Merrick sitting there with fucking pot of greed in his hand while whining he didn't draw the Winged Dragon of Ra. Really? I mean, okay. Actually, let me consult my notes from a few episodes ago just to double check something because this might be equally as stupid. This might still be stupid regardless. So let's flip back to let the finals begin. There we go. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so it's not exactly a plot hole, well, according to the notes I took, but at the same time, it's just that just kind of proves my point. Even though that this is the first time Card of Sanctity shows up. We'll talk about Card of Sanctity when we get there, because I do actually have a mini little topic to talk about. Then we find out that Yami Merrick basically cheated because he swapped out the fucking cards in his deck, which, last I checked, wasn't that supposed to be against the rules? Like, you could swap out the anti cards, but you couldn't just swap for a completely new deck? Could have sworn that was a thing, but whatever. So then we know in the then we know in then in the dub they posit the idea that Merrick didn't know that Yami Merrick existed. which is just more further points against Ishizu and Odeon. Which is funny because either way, he actually learned about Eric's appearance from the last episode, because he still got a piece of himself in Teo. Head out of the gutter. That's not what I meant. And I know it's me, so that's immediately where you go to, but I swear that's not where I was going with that. And then they talk about the power of the Pharaoh. Now, there is something to talk about here, because this is a dub change. And what it is that there's a power that's basically that is basically beyond that of the 7 Millennium items. You know, the power of darkness that Yami Bakura covets. Well, here's the funny thing about that. It is technically real when you think about it. No, seriously, it is technically a thing, even in the Japanese version. It's just not as pronounced because, well, how often do you call, for example, Superman's superpowers, Superman's, and well, no, that's a bad example because they say Superman's power all the goddamn time. Okay, we'll use a different example. How often do you claim that Batman's wealth is his power? Not very often. Not very many people kind of bring up that idea, especially in more modern times where, you know, being wealthy is not exactly a good look, especially when you're spotting off bullshit like, if there's even a 1% chance that something's true, we must treat it as if it's 100% true. Fuck you, Batfleck. Come on. You prepare if there's a 1% chance, but you don't treat it as an absolute. This isn't Fire Emblem. Get your head out of your ass. I know I keep poking fun at Fire Emblem, but that's more me poking fun at Fire Emblem's reputation, because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, the RG is bad at Fire Emblem." It's only in like 2 or 3 Fire Emblem games that I've played where the RNG is actually that bad. Like, no, seriously. I do like in the Japanese version that Yami Marik basically tells, because Marik comes after Yami Marik for killing Ishtar Senior. I still don't know why that asshole was an abusive asshat who was willing to whip children. Never mind his own children. So fuck him. He got what he deserved. But I do like that young Marik says, "You're just as guilty as me," and normal Marik says, "That's true." Just acknowledges it and is like, "Yeah." So then we have Marik and Yami Bakura bickering because apparently we have to have villains be argumentative dumbasses, which is the other side of this fucking part. That's the other side of this that doesn't fucking work. Like in the sub, Marik literally says, "I will provide support," and Bakura is like, "Do not order me around." That's not an order. That's him saying he has your back. What are you, a fucking 3-year-old? Well, grow the fuck up. Especially considering you're 3,000 years old, Yami Marik. Act your fucking age. Or Yami Bakura, act your fucking age. So they begin the shadow game, named the whole body fading if they lose life points thing. Yami Bakura summons Goblin Zombie and sets the fearful Earthbound, which has no relation to an archetype that we will be talking about over in 5Bs. So, yeah. He's kind of funny in that regard. Uh, then Largo shows up, which is hilariously more powerful in the real card game than than it is in the anime, or at least I'm pretty sure it is, unless I am, of course, getting that confused with a GX monster, a GX drill monster, which I could be, which is, of course, why I'm actually looking it up. Yeah. Oh. Oh, never mind. I mean, it is more powerful than in the anime because in the anime he's just a vanilla monster. But what's funny is that it's actually different than it's actually different. So never mind. Mind. So although in GX he actually has his proper effect. So there you go. His effect, if you're wondering, is that if all of the monsters on your opponent's side of the field are stronger than it, as in all the monsters on your opponent's side of the field have 1600 or more attack, then Duralago can attack directly. Is the idea pretty powerful? Admittedly, direct attacks are no joke. Oh, that's actually why Raging Flame Spray was such a menace in our duels in high school. Oh, because it kept staying on the field too damn long, you know. So then Yugi effectively he visits the chambers of the Millennium Puzzle. I prefer the Dub's idea of it's more complex because more mysteries have been revealed about it. Because you notice it's actually brighter now. No, like I know Atem, snapped his fingers and then there's the labyrinth, but I do like the idea that it gets more complex the more mysteries that get uncovered. And the less certain you are about Tem is about the future. It's actually kind of an idea I kind of like. Also, I also like that in the sub that Yugi and Atem are sensing Yami Bakura because he is technically still in there thanks to Parasite Mind. I do like that Marik is desperate to get rid of Yami Marik, though. That's another thing that I kind of like. So then Yami Bakura thinks that there is no point in him having uh, in him using Destiny Board because Yami Marik will see it coming. Here's the funny thing with how long this duel goes on for. And you could technically have set up yeah, Yami Bakura's occult deck actually does warrant the idea that he could stall out Yami Marik enough to get Destiny Board on the field. So why would you not want to use it? Now I get that part of that is because there's a spirit message in his hand, but I'm pretty sure that even in the anime you can actually place the Destiny board pieces on the board despite them being in your hand, but I could be wrong about that. So I am actually going to go ahead and look that up right now. Place one spirit message card from either your hand or your deck face up. So yeah, no, you fail. You fail, Yami Bakura. You fail massively, and it's only going to show up in a weird quiz thing in GX. So there's that. So yeah, it's so yeah, no, like seriously, Yami Bakura, like why not just use Destiny Board against him? If it fails, it fails. He has to waste resources to get rid of it. And this is also the anime where nobody knows what the fuck MST is. Or Heavy Storm. Or at the very least, they won't know what Heavy Storm is until the Virtual World arc. You're a little early for knowing what Heavy Storm is. In fact, give me a sec. I'll even tell you how many episodes away that is, because I can look that up. Let's see. Pretty sure it's either 108 or 109. I mean that Heavy Storm makes its debut in. Although, I suppose I can just literally just look it up because I have the wiki right in front of me. Hey, so there's that. Also, why does the OCG have it and we don't? Yeah, anyways. But anyways, let's see. Oh, my bad. It's actually going to show up in 103. It's actually going to show up in 103. And then in 109 and then in 109 it'll be used. And then in 112 it will be used. And then it won't be used again until GX. Where it will be used in episode 1, episode 18, and episode 31, with a brief appearance of it in episode 70 of 5Ds, episode 1 and episode 20 of Arc 5, and then, of course, and then everything else is just kind of cameos, effectively, from it. So, yeah, Heavy Storm hasn't even been introduced in the series yet. So, play your fucking Destiny board, dude. Kill this asshat. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I forgot. He has fucking plot armor and plot contrivance on his side. And don't think I'm not going to. And yes, that is what I call the one turn kill. The one turn kill is a plot contrivance. Plain and fucking simple. But I do actually have a thought about that later, which I'll get to. So, as I said, so like I said, Yami Marik having pot of greed, but he doesn't use it, even after he plays Card of Sanctity. Now, Card of Sanctity is very, 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 very interesting to me. Namely, funny enough, Card of Sanctity is a card that I know would be broken as shit in the real card game, but I wish had some variation of it in the actual card game. Like, for example, maybe on your next standby phase, you have to discard the number of cards you drew or something. Uh, specifically, specifically on your next standby phase, both players have to toss out the same number of cards that they drew or something, right? Very Mirage of Nightmare esque. But yeah. Then there's Puppet Master. So yeah, which would be nice. Then there's Puppet Master, who I believe is actually weaker in the real card game. He is, but only slightly. As when he's tribute summoned, you can pay 2,000 life points, and then 2 fiend monsters from your graveyard can be special summoned, and they have to be specifically fiend. So there you go. It's not actually it's not actually a bad card for old Yu-Gi-Oh. I should stress that part. In old Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, which is funny because it only ever appeared in this two-parter in '96 specifically, which is kind of funny in its own right. And then in both the anime and the manga, it literally just resurrects X3 monsters. Monsters at the cost of 1,000 life points, which is funny because they don't get to attack in the anime. But if I'm reading the manga description correctly, They are not actually barred from attacking. Yeah, according to this, they are not actually barred from attacking. Huh. Neat. Neat. Fun little anecdote there. So then Dark Designator is used. That's actually a pretty cool card, and it will come up a couple of times. Which is funny because actually Kaiba's got his own version of this card called Lullaby of Obedience, but we'll get to that when we get to the fact that apparently my camera can't seem to focus, and I don't understand why. Ooh, I need a better lighting setup. That's what I need. Need to get curtains for there, curtains for that, and then. Anyways, yeah, wishful thinking on my part. But anyways, where was I? But yeah, no. Anyways, so yeah, Dark Designator. They do the whole exchange thing to get Ra into its hand, and then Marik activates a trap card that effectively renders all of Yami Bakura's sacrifice fodder for whatchamacallit, which I'm pretty sure has not actually ever appeared. Yeah, it's literally an anime only card, which I know bugs some people, but honestly, that doesn't bug me all that much. That's and so there you go. According to the wiki, the Ra apparently attacks a bajillion times in that final turn, but whatever. Yeah. So then, he ditches Ra for Dark Ruler has deaths. Meanwhile, Seto's been sitting there trying to strategize against Ra, trying to come up with a strategy to defeat Ra. Spends all night on it. God, he has got to be exhausted considering he's going to be going through an entire filler arc. I mean, granted, he'll probably be KO'd for. Well, I'm pretty sure the gang will be KO'd for a while, so maybe that's where he'll get some sleep. I don't know. Heard. Crush card. He finds out that the crush card his crush card combo will only allow a 13% chance of victory, which, yeah, that's a duh, considering all of Raw's bullshit. Hey, that looks from the edit here. Real quick, kind of, addendum here that I want to add. Yeah, fun fact about the whole crush card does not affect Raw thing. That actually makes sense because Raw's technical stats when it's actual card in your hand is the question marks. Which, fun fact for anybody who does not know, question marks is basically treat the original attack and defense as 0, which means crush card would not affect Raw in the hand anyway, because, well, duh. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of chime in and give a real quick explanation on that. Yeah. So then we get into the contrivance of this one. And because Seto's sitting there thinking about Raw and all of its powers and everything. But then he goes and he declares, so then he starts thinking about the God cards. And I just was thinking, oh, wow, here come the inconsistencies. We'll get to the contrivance with Raw in a minute. He thinks about all of about the effects, and I was thinking, these are inconsistent. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, actually, yes and no. Because in one way you could say, well, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is that it's better to say it as they can't be targeted. Now I know that a lot of times there are specific trap cards that work and some that don't, and that is an inconsistency. But I'm reminded actually of Death Note. Now obviously Death Note is way better written because they actually, at least the writer has the rules in mind, the rules that they're going to operate on, right? You could argue that the rules kind of don't work that way in the it aren't as good, well written in like the later half of the series, although that's more the anime rushing through the fucking final arc when it was half the damn series in the manga. Like, no, seriously, the second arc starts in volume 7 and it's 12 volumes. So it's like, wait, what? So there's that. But yeah, no, it kind of, I'm just reminded of that because this is bullshit. Death Note is exciting because it's still, you still have to dance around conveniences, but at the very least, with conveniences, you can go ahead and you can kind of dance around them with Death Note because you kind of get swept up in when you're actually watching the thing. But when I'm watching this thing, the card game is not exciting because it feels like it's too much of a one-sided beatdown. And again, this was the same problem I had with Yami Marik versus Mai. Mai was never in control of that with Mind Game. Mai was never in control of that duel, and neither was Bakura, which just pisses me off. But let's talk about the last thing I have to talk about. Because we do need to. There's a couple more things I want to talk about, but they're minor things. For example, Parasite Mind. Yami Bakura's not gone. And although he'll be sitting out 2.5 seasons. Then there's then there's and there's a freaking yawn attack. God damn it. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Freaking yawn attack. Then there's so Yami Bakura is gonna be skipping out 2 seasons, but he's still around. I do like his line, "I am the darkness itself," which he says in both versions. Which, fun fact, given what we learn about him later, which is funny because regardless of the explanation, yeah, that is actually true because there are a lot of, if spoilers, there are a few demons of darkness in this franchise, so to speak. But regardless of any of that, yeah, whatchamacallit. But regardless of any of that, we got to talk about the plot contrivance of normal Marik didn't know about the one-turn kill and instant attack abilities. But Seto did. Why? Seto being able to read those fucks this entire thing in the ass. The entire problem with the whole crux of this entire thing hinges upon the idea that Seto knows how to deal with the one-turn kill. So why does normal Bakura not know? Someone answer me that. Because I don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. That is a plot hole. I'm sorry. That is a plot hole. And a pretty egregious one because it hinges. This whole episode's drama hinges on that reveal. And it kind of just feels like another contrivance, which sucks. But whatever. Also, Yummy Marik's going to be held at bay for an entire. For. Fuck, what is that? Like 30, 20 something episodes? How? I mean, I know he will, not be. He'll not be, he'll sit still for a while, but why? Why does he sit still for as long as he does? What's funny is that you technically could have postponed this until later on in the virtual world arc and just kind of added a deckmaster element to this, which then could actually help explain shit. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me contributing to wishful thinking. I don't like this episode if it's not obvious. I don't like this two-parter very much if it's not obvious. Which is funny because I honestly liked it as a kid. That's why I put nostalgia as one of the reasons. Nostalgia and Ted Lewis are the reasons why I prefer this one to the dub. But even so, this is an episode I would skip. This is on the skip list. Regardless of which version I'm watching, because I don't find it important. I don't. Especially considering it's just an excuse. Especially considering this episode is just an excuse to have Yami Bakura vanish for 2 whole seasons. Because we're not ready for his plotline yet, and we won't be for 2 years. Anyways, I suppose that's neither here nor there. Showdown in the Shadows. I know, you want to rant at me for how wrong I am. Go ahead. I don't care. All I will say is I'm actually going to start a process to go ahead and do some rankings. I'm just going to skip over these last 3 episodes worth of things because, I kind of have already rated last week's, and and obviously I gave this one a ranking of C. Because this is just an average episode. Not all that great, not all that bad. It's bolstered by some cool stuff, and then destroyed by plot holes and contrivances that just drive me up a fucking wall. So until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. You're going to be getting a small little preview. You'll be getting an addendum thing. A small little thing where I will go ahead and I will rank each of the previous episodes. I'm probably going to watch them all in the sub and then just give you the ranking based on that. And then we're going to go from there. And I will give you the final thing. Don't know how long that's going to take me, admittedly, but when we come back next time, aside from that addendum video, which I'll probably actually have go live in the same week this is going live, then and then the week after we'll start that. So and then we can start fresh with the virtual world arc in June. So that'll be fun. But that's it for me. Until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by.